Welcome back, friends, to TV5 News at 9. It is time now for Aging in Style with American Retirement Advisors. Joining us now is President and Owner Joe Vitale. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you, Joe?
Good morning. Doing good, Colette. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. We're so glad that you're here. So, Joe, you are always giving us such important information about retirement. But if you at home want to hear more from Joe, of course you do, be sure to grab your phones and scan the QR code right there on your screen to subscribe to his newsletter. It's called Financial Vitals. And you can stay tuned in to the latest financial news and market updates. Now on to today's topic. We are talking about retirement. And taxes. So what retirement means for your taxes. So when do folks really need to worry about taxes in retirement, Joe? That's a word now. It's like a bad word, taxes, but talk to us about this.
Yeah. For some retirees, you know, they really don't need to because depending on how their income is or their savings is. But a lot of retirees and pre-retirees we're finding right now, their biggest asset is their 401k. And, you know, when that comes due, it's like, well, I'm going to use a little bit of that, but everybody's afraid to use it because then, of course, got to pay taxes on it. So, and it's almost like, you know, kicking the can down the road because sooner or later you're going to have to pay taxes. Now, when should you be prepared for it? I'm doing it right now. I'm 53 years old. I'm already looking at tax-free strategies, non-taxable strategies, and, of course, IRA and 401k taxable strategies. So we talk about allocation. We also have to talk about diversification and making sure we're planning to have those tax-free buckets so we're not hammered with taxes when we get into retirement.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so Joe, listen to this. A lot of people want to know this. Is it true that your tax bracket actually goes down in retirement, and is that something retirees need to worry about?
You know, generally that is true because they could be going, you know, usually a third or a half of their income now from what they're used to making in retirement. So that is true a lot of times, but then what happens is you get that lifestyle or you think, you know, you actually do want to live on a little bit more than what you're accustomed to living on. So it usually does go down a little bit, but then what happens is as you get older, you've got those required minimum distributions to take. And when that happens, now you have to take, you know, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 a year in required minimum distributions, and that could bring your tax bracket back up. But then what a lot of people don't realize is what is the widow's tax? I've never heard of a widow's tax. You know, well, or widowers, that's when one of the spouses die. You lose that big, you know, married filing jointly deduction. So now you can only make half as much income, and your taxes could go up. We see that happen. So you have to look at different strategies that, you know, we don't want to think about, but it's all part of planning.
Now, Joe, we need to know this. What can be done to really be proactive about taxes now or in the future?
You know, we talk about this. We are the lowest tax bracket we've ever seen in our lifetime right now. And it's meant to expire in about 3.5 years in 2026. So we really need to be proactive right now with a lot of our clients. You know, give us a call because what we're doing is we're looking at Roth conversion strategies. We're also looking at alternative tax-free strategies that we have a window of opportunity right now that we know for certain. We don't know for certain, but we know pretty sure we got the next 3.5 years to be proactive, to look at strategies, and to stay in that 10 to 15% tax bracket. You know, hopefully 20%, but adjusted. But if we don't, we're seeing taxes could be a lot higher.
So if you're not proactive now, it's time to start being proactive. So, Joe, what about taxes on Roth IRAs or 401ks?
The beautiful thing about Roth IRAs is they are tax-free as long as, of course, you hold them for over 5 years, which majority of people will have them over 5 years. So you put it in after tax, but then you take it out tax-free. Beautiful strategy. It's a wonderful thing. But a lot of people are like, well, Joe, I can't do a Roth IRA. I'm already retired. I do not have earned income. That is true. You can do conversions, though. You can convert your IRA or 401k to a Roth. 401ks are taxable, of course, and you have to pay tax on those. But you can still do strategies where you can convert a little bit at a time. That's what we do. We look at strategies that we can do not all in one shot because we don't want to throw you into a huge tax bracket. We want to do a little bit at a time if we can to maximize the brackets, minimize the taxes.
Okay, that's a great tip. So Joe, what options do retirees have if they cannot do a Roth IRA?
Yeah, if they can't do a Roth IRA, there are options. One of them is like, you can't do a Roth, but you can convert your pre-tax. So your IRAs, your 401ks can be converted to a Roth. There are also other strategies that do grow tax-free outside of the IRA and the Roth that you have to qualify for. So there are strategies out there, and that's what a lot of people are like, well, Joe, I've never heard of that. And because not everybody wants to talk, some people look at life insurance. Nobody needs life insurance when you're retired. Who needs life insurance? You really don't at that point. But you need tax-free strategies, and there are some tax-free strategies within those that you're limited to. So we look at that as a possible alternative as well. And I don't need life insurance. I got plenty of it. But I look at the tax-free strategies, and the IRS actually has provisions where they don't let you overfund it. So you have to be careful what you can do. Look at all strategies out there. They do take time. But the thing is to get to know it. And if we're not proactive, what's going to happen is as you kick that can down the road, we see a lot of families in their late 70s and 80s, they have these big IRAs. They can't use that money. They're paying tax on money they can't use. And then they pass away, and it goes to their kids in the highest tax bracket they're in, and they're going to pay a boatload of taxes on it.
Wow.
So we're looking, just be proactive, try to look at strategies to be proactive now while we can.
Great advice, Joe. Any last minute message or tip that you have for people during these very uncertain financial times?
Keep your cool, be diversified, give us a call. We've seen this before. We're hoping, yes, we've seen the ups and downs in the market, and it's I'm not going to sugarcoat it, it's not pretty.
Right.
But there are a lot of very good, safe alternatives that you can get a really good rate of return with zero risk or very little risk. So there are some really good strategies out there, and if you're not hearing about them, definitely give us a call. We'd love to share them with you.
Make sure you call Joe. Ask Joe, friends. He knows. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Colette. Take care. Have a great day.
You as well. Thank you so much. For the latest financial news and market updates, be sure to subscribe to Joe's newsletter, Financial Vitals. And if you want more information on today's topic, just head on over to the Aging in Style page at WNEM.com.